is mad, her, my, you face is my drummer, mine is my
Mulimutia abarigani bawoni 100%. Welcome to another episode of Chats of Africa with me, Kalungi Ssebandeke, a brand new podcast where I speak to talented Africans across the world. Now, today is a very, very special episode in that, let's look left, let's look right, up, down. There is no talented African except me. It's a solo episode, and I have to say I'm very sorry to all my loyal listeners. I owe you an apology. It's been a busy past few months, really. And I had hoped, in the spirit of transparency, to have stacked up a few episodes. But alas, it didn't quite happen because, as you may have listened to, I've been producing and directing the revival of my play, Asata Taught Me, and the run is done. But at the same time, I ended up going to the Cannes Film Festival. So there's plenty more to talk about, really. Plenty to talk about. So I thought, you know what, instead of keeping you waiting until our next guest or kind of hitting you with that was the end of series 1, let's come back for series 2 in a few months' time or whatever. I thought, why not give you this solo episode? And really, if I'm being honest, I actually don't have anything specifically planned. Look, there's no notes, nothing whatsoever. It's just good old me chatting. Really, that's exactly what it's called, Chats of Africa. And I've been having so many incredible conversations with different people. So, I mean, we're going to get to that, really, which I don't even know where to start. I'm so excited because I went to Cannes Film Festival and I met so many talented people from the African diaspora, from the United States, Africa, Europe, wherever, the Caribbean. And we had so many incredible and fascinating conversations and interactions. And I just have loads to really kind of download onto you, the listener, and you, the viewer. And that's why you see I'm so animated, you know what I mean? And I've got, you know, a brand new top here. Power belongs to the people. Go get yours. And you will, if you saw the play, my play Asata Taught Me, if you happen to be in London, or if you've seen it before, if you've read it, you can get a copy of it actually at Amazon. Asata Taught Me by me, Kalungi Ssebandeke. Just search Asata Taught Me play and you'll be able to find it. But we'll sell you stuff later. In the meantime, I just want to chat, really. I just want to chat because there's been so many things that I've been doing. I've been, working on, of course, this play, producing it, and it's been a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind. Like I've gone from basically partnering with someone to help me produce it to producing it by myself with the help of an associate producer. That in itself has been an adventure. I've gone from really not having produced a film before to producing not 1, not 2, not 3, but also actually really 3 films. But associate producing some other films and other projects coming on. So I've got so many things to catch you up on. And really the key thing today on this week's episode, and there's going to be a few more of these solo episodes, the key thing today is to talk about ownership. That was one of the things that actually, when I went to Cannes, I mentioned, ownership of stories, ownership of distribution, because we do a lot of waiting, right? You as my listeners, you as my viewers, you must know you were waiting for me, and I apologize for that. That was really bad of me because I like to be consistent. I believe in consistency. I've had many podcasts in the past, and I think the thing that's really let me down is the consistency, right? And I said to myself when I started Chats of Africa that I was going to be consistent. I was going to give you content. I was going to give you episodes. I was going to give you talented Africans that I'm speaking to, conversations and chats with talented Africans. And I let you down, and I apologize for that. I've got listeners from all over the world, really. We've got Ghanaian, Spanish, Syria, I'm seeing. I hope you're not bots. All over the world. And I know you're all really kind of locked in and you're looking forward to that. Every Monday you hear that tune from Mozzie Mutant, You're on My Mind, 12:59. You're waiting for that and I let you down. So I apologize. But I'm going to make it up to you because there's so many things to talk about. To begin with, the play. So The play, if you've been listening, is inspired by the FBI's most wanted woman, Assata Shakur. And in my play, Assata taught me, it ends with her saying, "Power belongs to the people. Go, get yours." And if you do want to get this T-shirt, actually, you can head over to. Uh, you should really find it from Kalungi Fresh. If you follow me, Kalungi Fresh, there'll be a link there for you to be able to take you directly to the shop. Or you can always reach out to me, DM me. We've also got the Chats of Africa YouTube page and Chats of Africa Instagram page. So you can always find us there. But that's not the point. The point is that this play has been a journey. So I wrote this play in 2016. The first idea came to me. Do I count? Let me count when I first got the idea. So I read an article by a journalist called Bim Adewumi. And in that article, she detailed Assata as the FBI's most wanted woman. Her bounty had been doubled, right? From 1 million to 2 million, granted, but it'd been doubled nonetheless. And doubled by none other than Obama's administration. So I read this and I kind of knew about Shakur. The last name is familiar because of Tupac, but like everybody, I don't think I actually thought it was Tupac's mom. A lot of people thought it was Tupac's mom, but it wasn't. It was Tupac's godmother. But the name was familiar, and it turned out I'd listened to a song by Common from his album Like Water for Chocolate, and he has a song called Song for Assata. And I used to listen to that song thinking, who is Assata? Who is this Assata woman? And it turns out it was Assata Shakur. For those of you that don't know, she was a former Black Panther member, and she actually left the Black Panther Party and formed her own party, the Black Liberation Army. And part of that, I believe Sundiata Acoli was a part of that, and he's very important in the story, as well as Zaid Shakur, equally important. And the name Shakur was sort of kind of taken up by these BLA members. I believe they do say, some sources say, in memory of Zaid Shakur. Why that's important is that in 1973, Assata, Zaid, and Sundiata were driving on the New Jersey Turnpike. I guess it might be their sort of motorway or whatever. And there was a state trooper by the name of Werner Forrester, as well as another state trooper, who kind of followed them and kind of instructed them to stop. Apparently, there was something wrong with their vehicle, etc. You know how it goes. So they're talking back and forth, and a shootout ensues. During that shootout, the state trooper, Werner Forrester, tragically dies, and so does Zaid Shakur. He too tragically passes away. Assata is shot. Sundiata manages to escape. Assata then is asked by the surviving state trooper, where did Sundiata go? Where did Sundiata go? And apparently she points in this direction, but clearly she pointed in the wrong direction. Sundiata was later accosted, and he too was put on trial, and he does end up being sentenced to prison, and he serves out, I think, the length of his prison, and he may have been released not too long ago. Assata, on the other hand, she lay dying, and she was arrested and taken to hospital and handcuffed while she was on a hospital bed. And effectively, she was then put on trial for this, for the killing of the state trooper, Werner Forrester. But there was also a series of trials that she also was kind of being trialed for, a series of crimes, I should say, series of crimes that she was being trialed for, like historic crimes. And each one of those she was acquitted. However, this killing, she wasn't. And while she was waiting for these trials, while she was waiting for the trial, the main trial, she was put in a male-only prison. And at times as well, she was put in solitary confinement. She ended up also in prison with racist people. But again, miraculously, she also managed to, give birth during her time in prison. That's how long she was in prison. For. She was involved in so many different things that happened during that time, and she ends up having a kid with a gentleman by the last name of Kamal, I remember, or first name Kamal. I mean, listen, this is live, so I can actually find out. I should say this isn't live, so I can find out. So who was Kamal? There we go. Kamal Siddiqui. That's it. Kamal Siddiqui was the name, and is actually the father of Asata's only child, Kakuya Shakur, right? Kakuya. So in the end, she was found guilty. Again, it was a kangaroo court as per her description. She wasn't it wasn't in front of a jury of her peers. A lot of the jury members were very prejudiced against her. She gets imprisoned. Life imprisonment was her destiny. But and she tells this incredible story. She's on the phone to her mother, and this features in my play. She's on the phone to her grandmother, and her grandmother tells her this about this dream she had. And she says, "I had a dream that I was dressing you." And Asata goes, "What do you mean you were dressing me? Was I little?" It's like, "No, you weren't little." So why wasn't why were you dressing me? Because the only reason you could be dressing me is if I was. And then she kind of stops herself as if I was dead, right? Her grandma says, "No, you weren't dead. I was dressing you because you're about to get out. So don't get too used to that prison." Now, I don't know if grandma was giving her a little bit of a hint, get ready, or it was a genuine dream. So she is chilling one day, and now it can be talked about. And they kind of had been whispers, but now it can be talked about. Members of the BLA, Black Liberation Army, that I mentioned earlier, her party that she'd founded, came in and kind of, I think, they may have posed as visitors. Again, we can find this out. Here we go. Let's see, Prison Break. Let's find out. What did they do? Armed members of the Black Liberation Army and the May 19th Communist Organization posed as visitors, I thought so, overpowered two guards and broke Shakur out, spiriting her away in a commandeered prison van. Supposedly, the visitors checked into the prison legally, but then pulled weapons once inside the visitor room. After taking the guards hostage, they used the prison van to drive across unfenced grounds to an adjoining state school before fleeing in separate getaway cars. Shakur, originally born... No, I was about to tell you that. So she then ends up actually living in the States for like about 4 years before escaping to Mexico, and eventually she finds her way in Cuba in 1984, where the one and only Fidel Castro, who was the then president of Cuba, personally grants her political exile. And Asata talked about in one of her interviews that she kind of just turned up and she was like, "I'm here." "I'm here. What are you gonna do? Like, look after me, you know?" And they just went, "Okay, cool." And since then, she'd stayed in exile up until her death last year. What's really interesting is that in this play, Asata Taught Me, which was running not too long ago from the 12th to the 24th of May, we had an incredible team of creatives. Like, I'm so proud of the way I was able to make this happen. Like, I produced this play. I had support from a range of different creatives, an associate producer called Clarice Muckendall. I had support from a few supporters and investors, and one of which was David Ajala's VP and chairman. And if you don't know who David Ajala is a fantastic, incredible actor. And his company, VP and chairman, was one of the supporters and investors, and also provided associate producing support as well. This was also in conjunction and collaboration and support with Lucien Mzumati, the actor, another dope actor, BAFTA nominee, as well as another BAFTA nominee, Ciro Henry, who also invested in the project, and Philip Khan, who very kindly supported as well. He's a philanthropist, British philanthropist. this alongside a lot of other donors from my GoFundMe page that I had, and also my own personal investment, and also my family's personal kind of investment as well. So it's really a community of various supporters who came together to make this play possible. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone. This is permanent; it will be here forever, and I want everyone to be able to remember this. So we're 15 minutes in, and I was saying that during this production, we had a range of different creatives, one of which was Luanda Pau Baquero, and she's an incredible dancer, Cuban kind of just cultural person, right? And she came on board and told us something very interesting. She'd never heard of Assata Shakur, right? Like, these are people that live in Cuba, and for some reason, her infamy, whatever, didn't quite spread out into the wider community. A lot of people, including herself, only really found out about her when they released some kind of like news or item that, hey, this woman has passed away. There was this American who was living here and no one knew about it. And there was always a lot of questions. You see, when you're writing something, people always pose the questions, how can this young Cuban man not know about Assata? Da, 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 da. But there will always be someone who can confirm whatever idea you have, right? There will always be someone who goes, oh, is it really plausible that this thing will happen? Hey, you look far enough, you'll find someone that can prove that's the case. So this is for anyone that writes and creates anything. But back to this our creative team. So Luanda Pao was a Cuban culture consultant, and she worked in collaboration with the team, in particular Gabriel Nimo, who is the movement director. And she actually went to Cuba for a week as part of Luanda's Afro-Cuban dance festival, and came back with a range of different uh, research and information, and it just made the play for those that watched it, it just made that play extra potent and extra authentic. So that's something to always kind of let you know. If you really want your play or your work to kind of have this level of authenticity, just do some field research. I did that 10 years ago. I went to Cuba 10 years ago, and I think the same impact was had on the play 10 years ago. But now this time I was producing it. And, part of the challenges of producing, if there's any kind of creatives out there who do put on projects, whether it's a film, a short film, TV show, play, event, anything, one of the challenges is like finding a way to balance your various responsibilities. So I was writing, I was directing and producing. Thankfully, the script was already there. I knew it like the back of my hand. I didn't have to do too many rewrites, and any rewrites that I needed to do, I could do in the moment, right? Directing, that was a challenge, kind of finding moments to actually focus on the directing, but good thing I'd done some really good hiring. Maybe the main thing I would say was a big kind of impact was around finances, right? Budgeting and fundraising. We actually went into this play having half the money. That's not ideal, my people. That's not ideal. So I know sometimes in film, typically, you might go into the production with maybe only not a lot of the money ready. Maybe you're thinking you might be able to gap finance it later on once you have all the footage, and that can be very risky. And I wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely recommend making sure that you have all your money when you're putting together a show. So which meant that I was still kind of fundraising. I was still having that at the back of my mind. marketing was a big thing as well. I was really bootstrapping, meaning I was really out there like handing flyers out. I was kind of I went on 3 radio shows, BBC radio show. I went on One Extra with Richie Brave. So shout out Bernard Achepong from We Are Unedited, who hooked that up. I went on uh, travel show. I went on to uh, Jumoke Fashola's In Spirit show, and spoke to Edward Adu, who was sitting in for her. And then I went on to also another show, but this was hey, my memory nowadays is terrible. Hold on, Dotun Adebayo. That's I went on Dotun Adebayo's show, and on this particular day, I was on Dotun Adebayo's show, and then minutes later, I was on Richie Brave's show. So shout out to Joanna Wade, the producers, the whole incredible team. So that kind of helped us get a reach. And a few people messaged me, kind of were able to came to the show as a result of that. So I would definitely suggest, if you're producing something, and I won't stay too much on the kind of technical side in case other people are thinking, man, that's good enough. I don't really care about that. What I would say is, make sure you give yourself enough lead time when you're producing something to be able to market it. Because listen, people, by the time I'm not going to give too much away, but we needed like a lot of support, marketing support. But thankfully, gradually the show started picking up and word of mouth. But I think I would have benefited from having a little bit more lead time in order for the sales to kind of pick up. But in the end, it was a success. We had a great, excuse me, sorry. We had a great press night, and press night, for anyone that doesn't know, is usually opening night. This is when family and friends come. Members of the press come to also review the show on either this night or maybe a few nights. Sometimes it's in previews, and some people don't like that, or maybe a few days after. So it was a great kind of opening night. Then the following day, straight after, can you imagine? Straight after, I went to Cannes for the Cannes Film Festival. And there, that was an experience. It was an experience. I'd never been to the Cannes Film Festival. I'd been to Cannes before. I'd never been to, and that was just like when I was 20 in 2010. And it was like overnight. It was night time, and I think we had to quickly catch a train back or get a cab back. So it wasn't quite the same. It was going to club like Cannes, and Cannes expensive, so I don't even know why I got there and how I was able to afford to go there. But this time around, I went there, and it was life-changing. So what took me there to begin with was I was a collaborative partner of this initiative called Afro Can, and it's founded by a woman called Prudence Kolong from Yanib's foundation, and she's got Afro Berlinale as well as Afro Can, and I'm sure she'll have other future kind of film festival associations. And it's separate from these official film festivals, and she just effectively puts on great panel discussions and networking opportunities and parties and events for the African Caribbean diaspora filmmaking community. And I was on the panel, and I had a one-to-one with a South African filmmaker called Zoe Ramushu, and I hope I got that name right. Sorry. Actually, I can always find out. I'm here struggling when I don't need to. I can find out. Yeah, I know my names. I know my names. So, in the end, I was a part of this initiative, and it kind of allowed me to be able to network with a range of different people, which included, casting directors from the States, film financiers, production companies, like a range of different people. So, Afrocan was fantastic, and it was brilliant because of that. And from there, I ended up actually thinking about how do we, as Africans or children of Africa or kind of African diasporans, how do we make sure that we get into a position where we no longer need to wait and rely on other people to get things done, right? So here I am. I've got my own film that I'm producing, one of which I'm producing with another producer, Henry Hereford from Lucky Sunday Pictures. And I've got my own company, as we know, Sesso Productions, who produce this brilliant podcast. And um, we're working together, and we go to Cannes and we have all these incredible meetings with different people, different companies, but you always end up feeling as if like you're doing it Oliver Twist, like, please sir, may I have some more? Like it's not necessarily begging, but you're almost like you're on you don't really feel like you hold the cards, right? Or the power's in your hands. Now, someone might say, no, change that mindset. Find a way to change that mindset. And I do. I do that by kind of remembering that this project is made possible by by thank you. This project is made possible by everybody. I'm just checking out the chat. This project is made possible um by whatever idea that you have. You created this project, right? So why not think about it from that point of view, that why not enter this conversation, go, you lot want uh ideas. I've gotten an idea. You don't exist without the idea. Realistically, I could get this project made and put it out on YouTube. You can't exist as a company without anyone creating anything, right? Think about it. Even the people that got the money and got the access to the cinemas and the streamers, at the end of the day, in this day and age, you could actually start your own streaming network and put all your projects there. You could go on YouTube. You can make your film and put it out for free. And through maybe good marketing or somehow the algorithm, it can really blow you up. You just got to think about these films right now. Was it Backroom? Is it Backroom? Let's find out. Backroom's film. That I nearly left that. It's a film, American science fiction, psychological horror, directed and co-scored by Kane Parsons. It's a feature film debut. This guy co-scored it, and he's in cinemas, right? He's breaking records, right? Like 20-year-old is doing this. Now, he didn't put it out on YouTube, but it started off as a YouTube series. So why are we all here, tripping up over ourselves, bending over backwards? Because we're hoping that someone will give us a chance. When you could create it yourself, this is what I'm doing by having these conversations, these chats with you. I'm creating my community. It might take a while, it might take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. But at the end of the day, if I'm consistent, you will reward me by being a regular listener, being a regular watcher. So that's what I say with in general in regards to kind of distribution. And I was on this panel about distribution, and I think YouTube has democratized the distribution channel, right? Meaning, whereas many years ago, in order to even be seen by the world, you needed to go to these big networks, whether it's BBC, ITV, Channel 4, if you're in the UK, ABC, NBC, whatever. You needed all these big kind of like conglomerates who said, we're the ones who can broadcast all these stories. And you had to just sit there and watch them. The cinemas or the distribution companies, they had access to these cinemas or relationship to the cinemas, and they said, we decide what films get made. But now YouTube will go, or Vimeo will go, or whatever other networks will go. Now you can upload for free. All we ask is you keep uploading so that advertisers could come and advertise on your video, and then they pay into advertise there. We get money, and you get a cut of that. You get monetized, right? As long as you follow our rules. That is something that all the other big companies don't do for you. So this is a very, very kind of revolutionary um, moment that we're in as creatives, right? As Africans in particular. Look how many African content creators they are. Now, I read the other day where I came across a headline that YouTube or African content creators are getting kind of unfair, let's see, uh, unfair kind of monetization um, uh, deals. It says here, African content creators face systematic inequalities in platform monetization, brand sponsorships, and algorithmic visibility compared to creators in the US or Europe. These disparities stem from lower regional ad revenues, geographic biases within recommendation algorithms, and a heavy reliance on direct brand deals over native platform ad revenue sharing. That's crazy, right? And this is BBC News Africa puts this up a month ago, right? There's a video there. Like, in one breath, I'm saying, oh, it's kind of democratized, YouTube has democratized the kind of the distribution world. But at the same time, you're also taking the mickey. Just as, you got OpenAI who are using, Kenyan people to moderate and kind of teach these machines how to kind of recognize certain images or whatever, and also they're asking them to kind of like check for kind of content or the violence and the inappropriateness of certain content, and they're asking them to do that, and they're paying them like less than like $2 or whatever. Guys, come on, let's not do this. Let's not do this. So let's find a way, as those of us who are in a position to be able to, maybe speak up for people and get to a position of influence. Let's make sure that we do things ethically. And that's my aim of being part of this new kind of community that I'm creating here. You, my Chats of Africa audience, my, what do I call you? My chatters, my African chatters. What do we call now? The chats of, maybe it's koas, my koas, choas. What do you lot want to, you let me know. Are you going to be chatters? Are you going to be, uh, uh, choas or koas? You can tell me what you prefer. But I'm really excited about what's coming up. Very, very excited by it because it means that there's going to be a lot of exciting kind of platforms or exciting kind of partnerships that I can create out of this. I mean, I have my own, for example, companies that I'm creating. I'm not going to say yet, but Chat of Africa sponsored Asata Taught Me. It did. It did. So, we get to a place where we can kind of start building on, on the platform and start maybe not waiting for this company to sponsor me or whatever. I can sponsor myself, and then I can raise awareness for these companies that I have, and you can now start supporting directly. We're doing direct to consumer kind of strategies and ways of operating, as opposed to waiting for the big companies to sponsor us. I would love that. That would be great, but I'm not waiting. That's what Says So is all about. It's a play on my last name, but it's also to do with you saying so. It's your say so. So it's Says So Productions. We say so, right? But listen, thank you, everybody. These are mini Chats of Africa kind of solo episodes. Of course, next week there'll be another one that we'll have. And I think it's great to be able to kind of give you this in little bite size as I have been before. And I look forward to the next episode where you hear more about an exciting new project that I have that is to do with Africa. And maybe I won't say no more, but just know that it's Africa. I'll say this, it's related to the World Cup. Okay? It's Africa and it's related to the World Cup. And I can't wait to say more about it. So in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to click follow on the podcast, wherever you listen, so you don't miss an episode. And of course, you can find us on all the socials. Chats of Africa is the Instagram. You can find me, Kalungi Fresh, on my Instagram, Kalungi_ if you're more of an X or Twitter. And TikTok, Kalungi Fresh is there as well. Thank you to all you incredible Chats of Africa listeners and viewers. And of course, I will see you next week. Peace.